Hi, and welcome to Best in Tesla News, episode 191. Tesla released their Q3 numbers, and as expected, they were down. And I learned some new information, thanks to a follower, that makes the Tesla semi-truck an even better deal than I thought. And GM also shared their delivery numbers for Q3, and their EVs are finally starting to ramp up. Slowly, but ramping up. And Ford was also up, but it was not all roses and sunshine. And the world's first artificial energy island just got the go-ahead. And Volkswagen hires a former Tesla employee to help them with software. And even counties are now saying Teslas are just the best value and cost-effective option. And 91% of existing BEV owners say they will never go back to an ICE car. All of this and much more in today's episode. Let's dive right in.
Let's put our living stereo stylus in this groove.
Tesla released their Q3 numbers, and as expected, they were down because of the shutdown of some of the Model 3 production lines. But Tesla produced 430,488 units and delivered 435,059 units, so still grew 26.5% year over year and are still up 45% year-to-date in the first 3 quarters, and are still on track for their 1.8 million units sold in 2023. So not really anything crazy about the deliveries numbers here in Q3, but if you want to take a deeper dive, I did make a whole video about it, link down below. But James did also show a chart from 2020 and then put in the new bars on the same chart just to show the insane growth that Tesla has gone through. Just insane. But we did see BYD was very close to delivering the same amount of BEVs as Tesla did. Their Q3 BEV deliveries were 431,603. And everyone was kind of up in arms about it. But firstly, it's a good thing. BYD selling more BEVs, I can only see that as a very good thing. Secondly, there is nothing new about this. BYD has been gaining on Tesla for the last couple of years, but it always a little bit up, a little bit down. And as you can see on this chart, they follow each other very nicely from Q1 of 2021 to Q1 of 2022. But then Tesla had their production facility in Shanghai shut down because of COVID in Q2 2022, and of course BYD gained on Tesla because of this. Then they continued to grow together until Q1 of 2023, where BYD went down because BYD has like 90% of their sales being in China, so they are very much affected by the seasonal changes in China's car market. And in January, automotive sales in China are very low, and we can see that BYD did not grow in Q1 at all, but it was actually down. So Tesla that can just export some more cars in Q1 to other countries, as the Chinese market is not good in the beginning of the year, actually pulled away from BYD in Q1 of this year, something we have not really seen in the past couple of years. But then we know Tesla once again had to shut down some production lines in Q3, as Tesla explained in their last earnings call, because of the refreshed Model 3, and therefore we saw BYD gaining on Tesla once again. But I do expect Tesla to deliver something like 480,000 in the last quarter, and if BYD continues to grow with the same rate we have seen them do for the last 6 months, BYD should end off Q4 with about 450 to 460,000 BEVs sold. So I do believe Tesla will continue to take the number 1 spot in Q4, but I think the race is going to be very close. But I don't know how many factories BYD is working on or has coming online next year, but Tesla should see some very good growth next year as well. So Tesla will be a very hard one to overtake, as BYD also still has to show they can sell high volume of EVs in Europe, as they are still only about 0.8% of the EV EV market in Europe, and they are not even in the US market yet, and don't even have a plan for it. As the senior vice president at BYD said earlier this year, the US market isn't under our current consideration. So for BYD not being in the second biggest market on the planet will no doubt give an advantage to Tesla, and Tesla has taken Europe by storm, and BYD is still not selling as well as we thought they would in Europe, because we do see Chinese brands like MG selling more than 6 times as many EVs in Europe as BYD. So Tesla's market is already much bigger than BYD's, so I think we will see Tesla grow faster than BYD over the next couple of years, but I am not as well informed about BYD's production and expansion as I am about Tesla, so I could of course be missing some very important information and be wrong, but Tesla does have a lot of advantages BYD doesn't have in both production method, faster at building bigger and more efficient factories. Remember, the real product is the factories, not the cars. And Tesla has a much simpler product line, simplifying production, and Tesla has a much stronger brand. And don't forget, Tesla has industry-leading margins on their cars, so they have a lot to play with, whereas BYD has razor-thin margins. But as I said in the beginning, I only see this as a good thing, as I want to see as many EVs on the road as possible, as fast as possible. So I'm also rooting for BYD and all the other EV makers to do well. And competition is always good. The true winner will be the customers. I made a video this week about the saving Tesla semi-truck would give a company. But I just learned some new information about the cost of a kilowatt hour in the US for large consumers. And that makes the Tesla semi-truck an even better deal than I thought. Pepsi did finish the Run on Less event with their 3 Tesla semi-trucks, and their verdict was clear. The Tesla semi-truck demonstrated the capabilities of megawatt charging in transport operation, enabling slip-seat continuous transportation capabilities with an electric vehicle. I even made a whole video about it this week, just how much better a Tesla semi-truck would be, even financially, even though Mercedes said they have a long way to go until they can get to that state. But as I said, I didn't understand how Tesla could get to the savings of $200,000 in just 3 years on fuel alone, as they said when I looked up some of the data online. But one of my followers was so nice to explain it to me, because I just took the average price for electricity in the US for a normal person, but there is apparently a big difference in the cost for a large consumer in the US. The price of electricity for a large consumer, even in California, is close to 5 cents per kilowatt hour, and not the US average of 17 cents. And the diesel in California is about $7 per gallon. So with the average driving in the US of 62,000 miles per year, a Tesla semi-truck in California will only use less than $6,000 in a year on electricity, whereas a diesel version will use close to $67,000. So the Tesla semi-truck will save the user about $61,000 a year. So in 3 years, $183,000. And that is just on the average use case, and just on fuel. So this is very close to Tesla's prediction of fuel savings of $200,000 in 3 years. But if they have trucks that drives more than 62,000 miles a year, the savings will just be even higher. And Pepsi has just shown that they can do slip seat driving and get to over 1,000 miles a day in a Tesla semi. So a Tesla semi truck that does, let's say, 150,000 miles a year would save the company something like $140,000 in fuel a year. So yeah, I very much underestimated the cost savings of a Tesla semi-truck in my last video about it, but that just makes the Tesla semi-truck even a much better deal than I thought. Companies are going to trip over themselves to get the Tesla semi-truck. Everything else just seems like financial suicide. And once again, just show how far behind Mercedes is if their electric truck is so expensive that these savings is not enough to make it a better financial option than their diesel version. Or Mercedes just don't get the saving it will bring, or just want their customers to buy their diesel truck a little while longer. But anyway, Tesla semi-truck will sell like hotcakes when they get that beast to high volume. GM also shared their delivery numbers for Q3, and their EVs are finally starting to ramp up. Slowly, but at least starting to ramp up, so that is good to see. The Bolt sold 15,835 units, so not a new record, but this is a car that is also being discontinued, so not surprisingly that is not setting new records. But the Hummer EV sold 1,167 in Q3, still very low numbers for the whole quarter, but nearly tripling its previous best from last year. So finally some momentum in the right direction. And the same goes for the Cadillac Lyriq. The second Ultium-based EVs also saw a record quarter. 3,108 Lyriqs were delivered in Q3, more than double of Q2, previous 1,348 record. So it looks like the Ultium platform is finally getting some little bit of momentum in production ramp. And that is very important for GM, as they are also starting to deliver 2 new models on that platform. Apparently 19 Blazer EVs and 18 Silverado EVs were delivered in Q3. This is the first time we see either of these vehicles show up in the quarterly numbers, suggesting that the customers would be getting these cars soon. But for a company that has been saying they are all in on EVs for years and even said they were leading the EV race, to still only have in Q3 of 2023 3% of their sales being EVs is still a bit embarrassing. But at least they are starting to head in the right direction. But the concerning part is the slow ramp of the Ultium platform, because GM delivered 20,147 EVs in Q3, but the 15,835 was the Bolt, which will be killed off by the end of this year. Yes, you do remember back in 2016 when GM beat Tesla to the first true mass market electric car. Sure, but when you look at the sales numbers, you would expect that the Model 3 was the real mass market vehicle. And even though it came out later than the Bolt has not sold cumulatively in all of its existence as much as the Tesla Model 3 does in just a year. The Tesla Model 3 sells about 500,000 units a year, a number the Bolt still has to reach in its total cumulative sales over the past 7 years in production. Yes, there has been nothing but talk from GM for the last 7 years. And if we take out the deliveries of the Bolt of GM's Q3 numbers, the other 4 models only delivered 4,312 units in Q3. And remember, they have been producing EVs on the Ultium platform since the end of 2021. So closing in on 2 years now, and 4,312 units was all they could manage. So going to be really interesting to see GM's Q1 numbers of 2024, as the Bolt will probably not be there helping with the numbers. So GM's Ultium platform has to do a 5x in production from Q3 to Q1 just to be on par with the EV production numbers of Q3 if there is no more Bolt sales in the mix. And we have just seen that the Hummer EV tripled its production. Yes, but that was over a whole year, and the Lyriq doubled in a whole year, and now they have to 5x their production in just 2 quarters. Call me skeptic, but I have a hard time seeing that happening with GM's track record so far. Ford also shared their delivery numbers, and Ford posted the best ever electric vehicle sales in Q3, thanks to the Mustang Mach-E and the E-Transit. But it's not all roses and sunshine. The E-Transit grew from 1,379 to 2,617, up 89.8%, so good growth, but still not a lot of volume. And the Mach-E grew from 10,414 to 14,842 units, up 42.5%. So good to see the Mach-E actually getting a little momentum here, as that car has been in production for about 3 years now, and the monthly production is only about 5,000 units. To put that into a little perspective, Tesla's Model Y, that started production about 6 months earlier than the Mach-E, is today the world's best-selling car and should produce something like 100,000 units a month against Ford's 5,000 a month. Yes, this was called a Tesla killer and was eating into Tesla's sales. And as many of the short sellers talked about, the old guys knew how to ramp up production. They would easily beat Tesla in EV production volume. But here we are, and the Model Y is outselling the Mach-E 20-1. So nice to see Ford has ramped up 42%, but a whole year has passed and Ford has managed to increase their production of the Mach-E by 4,428 units in a quarter. If they want to get to 2 million units in 2026, they really have to hit that accelerator or they will never get there. But then we have the F-150 Lightning that was actually down in Q3 by 45.8% from 6,464 to 3,503 units. But Ford is saying they will get the F-150 Lightning ramped up again in Q4, so let's hope that is true as Q4, the Cybertruck, will start deliveries. But again, do you remember how people said that the Cybertruck already had lost because the F-150 Lightning came out before Tesla's Cybertruck? Yeah, just like the Bolt beat the Model 3, right? But as we have talked about before, it's the production volume the legacy automakers still have to show us they can get to high volumes when it comes to EVs, and Ford just delivered 3,500 Lightnings in a whole quarter after 1.5 years of ramping up production. Remember, this truck started production pretty much on par with the Model Y in the Berlin factory that produces more than 5,000 units a week. Lightning 3,500 a quarter. This kills any narrative of the old guys beating Tesla in ramping up production of EVs. They are nowhere near Tesla's capabilities. I think the Cybertruck has a really good chance of beating the F-150 Lightning in production in 2024. Its first full year of production, even though Ford got an 18-month head start. Ford is also in trouble because the UAW is pushing Ford with the strike, so we have seen F-150 Lightning orders being cancelled in all of Canada. So maybe this is because Ford is losing a crazy amount of money on making the Lightning, and now they're also losing money on their profitable business because of the UAW strike. So to try to control Ford's losses, they might want to pause some of the Lightning's production. So this could not have come at a worse time for Ford, as the Cybertruck is just about to come out. So yes, Ford did make their best EV sales in a quarter ever, but only increased its EV sales by 2,705 units after a whole year of ramping up production. In Q3, Ford delivered a combined sales of 20,962 electric vehicles, and this is some of the best competition there is in the US for Tesla. But Rivian is doing much better than Ford, as they produced 16,304 units in Q3. Yes, not higher than Ford, but this is only from 2 models, so the R1T is delivering more units than the F-150 Lightning. And Rivian said it remains on track to produce 52,000 EVs in 2023. So very good work here from Rivian, and their CEO RJ also said that their loss per vehicle sold is declining fast, as we can also see they did in Q2, so they are definitely heading in the right direction. And I think we will see Rivian profitable before Ford electric vehicle business becomes profitable. So Rivian continues to head in the right direction, and Ford not moving very fast forward, and having the UAW hurting them at the worst time possible. But let's see what happens as we enter Q4 of 2023. And let's squeeze in the last short news topics into this news show. Yes, it's time for the Tesla Shorts. Tesla's new refreshed Model 3 is now for sale in Thailand as well. It is of course the same version as here in Europe, as they all just come from the Shanghai factory, but we are getting very close to the first deliveries of this beast, probably during the next week. And Volkswagen has hired a former Tesla engineering director to help the company catch up in the electric vehicle software race. The new Volkswagen executive also worked at Rivian and Google Android Automotive Division in the past. Now that sounds like the right man for the job. Hope they can come up with some very much needed improvements very fast. And the world's first artificial energy island has just got a go-ahead. Princess Elizabeth Island is a pioneering electricity electricity grid at sea that is going to connect offshore wind farms to the Belgian mainland and also serve as a hub for future interconnectors with the UK and my country of Denmark. This is the first, but probably not the last, as Denmark has also planned something similar to connect to a huge wind farm that is far out at sea to the mainland. The EU has a plan for 300 gigawatt hours of offshore wind turbines by 2050, and this energy island will be a nice showcase of the potential of offshore wind farms that don't bother any resident but can supply a huge amount of energy to the continent of Europe, as this will be an energy hub connecting many offshore wind farms in the Northern Sea. So very nice to see this project got the permits to start building the facility, and this will probably be one of many like it around the world. The energy island is expected to be built in 2 years and be done in 2026 and connected to the wind farms and countries and operational by 2030. Getting us closer to a future run on 100% renewables. And Elon wrote on X, SpaceX is tracking to deliver 1,600 tons of payload to orbit this year. Rest of the world delivered 400 tons, most of which is by China. SpaceX superiority in the space industry is just mad. And Elon did also win a space award this week, as Elon Musk was the winner of the IAF World Space Award. Congratulations, and very much deserved. And Tesla made a little ad on X with the new rear-wheel drive Model Y that is now available in the US, starting at $32,890 after $7,500 federal tax credit and estimated gas savings. The value for money here is just staggering. Remember, there is a reason why this car is the best-selling car in the world. Maybe this is because we now know that in China they have made a little refresh of the Model Y, where they got the ambient light in the front, not in the back, and the new fabric in the front as well, and the latest wheels with black rims instead of the silver. Maybe this is to not make people wait for the refreshed Jupiter Model Y that we all know is coming, as we know the refreshed Model 3 is out, and maybe that is also why we see the price cuts in the US to get rid of some of the old models before they introduce a slightly refreshed Model Y in the US as well. Who knows? And Facade made a great video this week showing why Tesla's Model Y is such a compelling EV by comparing these 6 EV models on 7 matrix on the entry level of these models. And as you can see, Tesla is winning most and is even the second cheapest. Tesla's entry level Model Y has the most range, best frunk, most cargo space, and is the electric car of these 6 that you would get the most miles per dollar. And Facade even made a little scoring board to showcase which is the best overall and which is the worst. And we see Tesla wins pretty big, even though it is the second cheapest, and we see Volkswagen and Nissan falling very short. But Tesla's vehicles are not just the best value for money for a private person. Counties are now also doing the math, and Tesla is the clear choice compared to anything else.
Why are we proposing the purchase of electric vehicles or Teslas for our police department in Ames ISD? When we began the process, we weren't looking for electric vehicles at all. We considered all the traditional makes and models of police cars that are available out there. We solicited bids from dozens of vendors and auto dealers throughout the state of Texas. We evaluated those bids according to a very specific criteria, and we followed the legal procurement process exactly. There were only 2 qualifying offers that were submitted. And in evaluating those, Tesla was determined to be the best value for Ames ISD taxpayers. And we can get those vehicles in 60 days. Other traditional makes and models of police vehicles we knew were probably going to take us at least a year to be able to provide to our officers in our new department. And not only that, but the other more conventional police vehicles that might be available to us even after 12 or more months were going to be considerably more expensive than the Tesla models that are proposed to us. And that's why we're recommending the Tesla as the best value and the most cost-effective option for Ames ISD taxpayers and our new police department.
Yes, if you wonder why Tesla has the best-selling car in the world, I couldn't have said it better myself. It is simply the best value and most cost-effective option. But it's not just in the US the Model Y is a clear winner and preferred choice when it comes to EVs. I just have to show you Tesla's progress here in my country of Denmark because it's kind of insane, the growth Tesla has seen here in 2023. And again here in September, as Tesla is the best-selling brand of any kind in Denmark. Model Y is the best-selling car of any kind. Best September ever, best Q3 ever. Year-to-date, Tesla is up 596% over same period last year. Year-to-date is 501% of last year's total. And Tesla is the best-selling brand in Denmark for third quarter in a row. Just nuts. And in Australia, we also see that new car sales continue to grow. New data shows that the car industry enjoyed a bumper month in September with a total of 110,702 new car sales, a jump of 18% from the same month a year ago. EVs grabbed an 8% share of the new car market with a total of 8,821, a jump of 21% over the year ago figures. And Tesla once again lead the charge with the Model Y, outselling every other battery electric model in the market, of course, but also all other passenger cars on the market, no matter powertrain. Nice. But Australia's neighbor, New Zealand, also saw the Model Y in September becoming the country's best-selling car of any kind. Very nice. And the Cybertruck was spotted towing a SpaceX rocket engine at Starbase. Elon, I'm just gonna say what we're all thinking. Yes, Elon, put that engine on the back of the Cybertruck and let it rip. Would be the fastest 0 to 60 time for eternity. Or maybe this is just the SpaceX package for the Cybertruck. But it looks like Tesla was just out shooting some footage for the upcoming launch of the Cybertruck. But cool to see this towing an engine. Should weigh something like 1,600 kilos, so close to 3,000 pounds. Easy peasy for the Cybertruck that should be able to tow almost 5 times that. And it just looked very cool and something straight out of the future.
And don't forget, if you're looking for some all-weather mats for your electric vehicle, not just the Tesla, use my affiliate link down below to get 5% discount and get, to be fair, all-weather mats from Shop for Tesla, as they are made from 30% recycled materials. I actually got them in my old Tesla Model 3 and they just look awesome. Link down below.
And forgot to show you guys this last week, but I think this is still worth sharing, as we often hear how good the old legacy automakers are at making cars, but we see them fail again and again when it comes to making EVs that handles great. We have seen the Ford Mach-E fail the Moose test, and now we see the Mercedes flagship EV, the EQS SUV, failing the Moose test as well, just as we saw with the BMW XM also failing this handling Moose test, something the Model Y handles with flying colors. Yes, they were good at making great handling ICE cars, even though the Mercedes was the one that had the car tipping over in the Moose test back in 1997. So I guess they have not always just been making great handling cars, but it seems it is very difficult for them to make an electric car that handles as well as Tesla does in an emergency. Tesla is just the safest car out there on all aspects.
That's really good. That's really bad.
And we sometimes hear comments like, I will never buy an EV, or nobody wants EVs. But I personally think that is a person that hath either never tried an EV, or maybe only tried a bad one, because yet another study shows the exact opposite. Only 9% of responded in the poll carried out by Tusker in the UK, a car company and salary sacrifice car rental firm, said they will go back to driving a petrol or diesel car, and 91% of existing BEV drivers are either very satisfied or satisfied with driving an electric car. And General Motors Chief Technology Officer Gail Goland is leaving the job after 1 month at the company. Wow, that gotta be some kind of record. According to an internal company memo, part of which was seen by The Electric, Golan's departure, effective November the 1st, comes 1 week after a profile in The Electric in which he described a plan to aggressively expand the company's work in batteries, creating a dream team of battery scientists and manufacturing batteries from the ground up. And now he's leaving 1 week later. And Nikola is looking to start deliveries of its hydrogen trucks in the coming weeks, with the CEO noting that the company is focusing on scaling its deliveries in this Q4. So far, Nikola has a whopping 223 non-binding orders, and they hope to be able to scale production to 2,400 units when fully ramped. Yeah, the numbers are very small, especially compared to what Tesla is aiming for with 50,000 units of production of their Tesla semi-truck. Even with Nikola's goal in mind, the hydrogen truck will very soon become the Betamax of the trucking industry, and the electric truck will be the VHS tape that will be the winner. Hydrogen cars are insanely expensive to buy, fuel and maintain, and so is the infrastructure that is not up and running yet. If you drive outside California in the US, there is basically none. So my bet is this will not last very long before they have to shut down the hydrogen production because it is too expensive to keep going in their very low volume. It just makes no sense. It doesn't even have more range than the Tesla semi-truck. And Tesla expects production at its lithium refinery in Texas to start sooner than expected, according to Tesla Senior Manager of Operation Jason Bevan. As he said, we will begin commissioning the asset roughly the first half of next year, and that will continue in earnest over the first half of next year. They will start ramping up production the latter half of next year. Nice. And Lucid launched their new Air Pure, their most affordable car. But compared to a Tesla Model S long range, it doesn't really stack up. Same kind of range, but the Model S is faster and all-wheel drive, and of course, Lucid does not have access to Tesla's charging network. As long as that is the case, it just doesn't make a very compelling EV. Lucid, you need to jump on the next as soon as possible if you don't want to be left even further behind. Because we did see both Kia and Hyundai joining the North American charging standard this week, and Niklas made a nice little list here over who has joined and who has not. So basically, if you live in the US, here is a list of what EVs to buy and what EVs not to buy. And before we end off with a bit of fun, I just want to make a quick shout out to my newest patrons and members of this YouTube channel. My new YouTube member, Frank Clark. Thank you so much for all your support. I am doing this all by myself, but you guys are all the producers of this new show. Thank you. And the Supporter of the Week t-shirt is still out of stock, so we will get back to that hopefully very soon. So let's end off with a bit of fun. You know, when you lied on your resume, but still got the job. What? That is all we have time for in this new show. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button. It really does help this video out a lot so others can find it on YouTube. And if you did like it, maybe you want to hit that subscribe and notification bell so don't miss out on future videos just like this one. And don't forget, if you want to become an executive producer and get some news articles during the week, some exclusive videos and early access, and access to all my research and charts and spreadsheets, head over to bestintesla.com and join with the members button. If you are already a subscriber, thank you so much for your support, and if you want to support the channel even more, remember you can, for as little as $1, become a patron of this channel and get your shout out on this show. You can also become a member of the YouTube channel to get a shout out and some extra perks. Hit the members button to find out more. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter. I tweet all the news as it comes out and more. And check out the merch store to get some merchandise and support the show. Now it's also possible to support the show without buying anything, becoming a member or a patron. There is a link to a donation options in the show notes. And also as simple as hitting the super like button. But going forward, I will be making more videos for patrons and members only. And I will give my YouTube members and patrons early access to my videos whenever possible and make my videos ads free for members and patrons only. So don't miss out. And thank you for watching. And until next time, take care out there and be nice.